It's a good
I'm
intro.
thinking we need like some intro music or something, some royalty free, like crisp and clean intro music.
I was thinking more along the lines of like Alan Walker Faded.
Who is Alan Walker? Like, is that
Uh,
like Paul Walker?
no. It's like Paul Walker's estranged twin brother, the one that went to EDM.
Isn't Paul Walker he's the Fast and Furious guy, right? He's like
No,
Fast
no,
and Furious
no.
and Flames, right?
N- No, you're thinking of the wrong franchise. I think he was from Mission Impossible.
Oh, that's Tom Cruise.
No, he's a guy, the tall guy, with, like the muscle guy, the guy who plays Luther.
From the newest one from Tom Cruise Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that one, that one.
Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah,
That's
it's
my
my
favorite
favorite.
one of the 17 Tom Cruises.
Say what you
So let
want.
me
He,
just get
he
some
has
water.
good running for him.
He really does. I have to give him that.
Whenever
If
I run,
anything,
my body fails me.
well, I've noticed. I'm running till my body fails me.
I like try
Um,
and run to do that, and then I just can't
so
collapse.
our repeat listeners, our biggest fans, may have noticed that I'm sounding a little more crisp, a little more clean, a little more high quality in terms of audio. Have you
He's got
noticed?
his gamer mic. You have your gamer
I've
mic.
got my gamer mic. This is like professional stuff we're doing here. This isn't like we're not messing around, right? Like it's pretty clear to me that we're doing this. We're doing this to make money, right?
We're in it to win it. We're
We're
not
in it to
making
win
any
it. Like
yet, but give it a
we're
little
not.
while.
We haven't lost money though, so I think we're okay.
I think so. I mean, I might
Who
have
did our
like put out a
first?
loan in your name, a business loan.
Yeah, in my name.
Yeah. Checked your credit score lately?
Yeah, it dropped like it's negative right now. It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, that might be the loan. They sent me a little like cool little letter saying, pay us
Pay us
money.
or else.
Yeah, you might get
The good thing
you
about
might get some
here, you know
burly
what?
men.
Here's a financial tip for you, okay? So if you go to a loan shark, it doesn't affect your credit score. So borrow as much as you want at whatever interest rate you want. Doesn't matter if you don't pay it back because your credit score in the day, you're still sitting at a solid 504.
Like
All right.
I heard that like it's better if you just like go to a bank and just like walk into the vault and take the
I
money.
Yeah, they usually let you do that if you ask like nicely.
Yeah, sometimes like you can get a cool little metal stick that helps you out a little.
Yeah, that's like the little fun stick. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a fun stick. So
It's
like,
like a
oh, give me
baton, right?
money. And yeah.
You gotta wave it around a bit. It's like a magic wand at that point,
It's
right?
kind of
You're
like
like,
it looks a bit
give
like
me
a
money.
banana. Looks a bit like a banana.
What?
What? The
What
fun
looks, what
stick.
looks like a boomerang?
A, a boomerang?
All right, moving on. Big news. You want to give the big news to the audience?
I do.
Unless they're listening on the platform itself. But what's the big news?
We're finally on Spotify. Only
Finally,
took me
we're
like
on Spotify.
2 weeks.
That's like amazing. We're like equivalent to Drake because he's on Spotify.
Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande.
Put the two of us together, our
Macklemore.
skin tones balance out.
Right, we're like the same as her.
We're like the Eminem of Spotify podcasters.
Do you think like the parts of her body you can't see are like pale?
Like, here's the thing. I saw a little bit of
Like
Sam and Cat. She was pretty pale. And
yeah,
like,
like what color are like? Oh god, I'm gonna regret.
so you're saying it's like a farmer's tan?
What color are her feet?
Oh.
I regret saying that already.
I'm just gonna say we should probably just like stop right there.
I
Stop
think
right
we're gonna
there.
cut our losses.
But we're
But
on Spotify.
on Spotify, the
Some
same name, the
misadventures.
Mostly Mediocre Podcast. Oh, you know what we forgot to do last time? Actually, we didn't introduce ourselves, so we're gonna.
Oh,
Hi, welcome. I'm Henry,
hi, welcome. I'm Yash,
and welcome
which
to the
Henry cannot
mostly
pronounce right. Fool.
welcome to the
Yeah,
mostly
mostly
mediocre
mediocre
podcast.
podcast.
Mostly mediocre
Because
podcast.
we're mostly just okay.
Well,
We know
we're
our
pretty
place.
subpar. Yeah, we're like a little bit below average. So,
Yeah,
but
it's like
someone's got to be below average to make that average what it is. So, you can thank
that.
us later.
That is true.
That's
That
how
is
averages
true.
work.
Is it though?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have an average, like half the stuff has to be on one side, and half has to be the other side, right?
That's a
I
percentile.
understand. No, it's how averages work. It's the
Well,
arithmetic mean.
I don't want to say I wouldn't want to say
Well,
I'm the best math student, but
I don't think. I mean, listen, I took a second year statistics course, so I might as well be the next, name in statistics that I can't think of because they're not really memorable people.
well, I could have talked about some cool statistical maps, but going back
Bell
to
curve.
averages,
It's just a bell curve.
a
The
bell
mean.
curve.
It's in the middle, and then half the data is on the left, half is on the right, and the standard deviation tells you the spread right
You
there.
know what a
Done.
bell curve kind of looks like?
A bell.
A camel's hump.
You know what day is today? Right now, actually.
Hump day. It is Wednesday,
It's hump day. It is Wednesday hump day. And this
9:58
podcast will be
p.m.
going out on either today or
or
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Thursday.
Yeah, not
Hopefully
hump
tonight,
day.
because we haven't uploaded in how long? 3 weeks, I think.
3 weeks. Not my fault. Not my fault. We're on a hiatus.
It was our
No, it
creative.
was my fault.
We were creatively bankrupt, so we need to recharge. And
Recharge.
today we've got quite the show for you guys. I think
Quite the
still gonna be
extraordinary.
a little improv, as is our repertoire, as is our modus operandi.
We still talk
Our
over each
MO.
other a little.
Our MO, as the police might say.
Our MO.
What I'm
And
saying.
you know who else has an MO?
Tell me, who's got an MO?
Serial killers.
Oh,
Because
they
they
certainly do.
kill again, and they have a modus operandi for their killings.
That's right. So I think Yash, I think you should introduce your bit for today.
Well,
The
I
topic.
introduced last time. You're the
But this
expert
is your
on true crime.
bit. I wouldn't want to listen. I wouldn't want to rob you of the opportunity to introduce you something you've been talking about for over a year now.
For over a year. All right.
I think it's been like a year now.
Well, no,
And for me,
it was December, I'd say.
well, still a while.
6 months.
Feels like forever. Yeah, 6 months. And for me to take that from you, that's just cruel.
That is cruel.
So
I guess I'll
introduce.
Take
it away.
I'm taking it away. So, originally, as we mentioned, this podcast was meant as a birthday present to one of our dear friends. The friend of ours really enjoyed true crime. And here's the thing. True crime's cool and all. People like killing people. People like hearing about people killing people. But the fact of the matter is, there's already so many true crime podcasts out there. So I got the gears turning, lying in bed, getting the gears turning, getting those hamsters, putting them to work, and I've come up with the perfect, most unique true crime podcast idea to date. Drum roll for me, Henry. Okay, that's enough. Maybe a bit less war drummy, but True Crime High.
Oh, yeah.
True Crime High.
True Crime High.
High is in high school.
High school, because it's a high school for true crime.
Kind of like High School Musical. The entire idea is, well, a lot of teen high school movies have tropes. And similar to MOs, tropes kind of let you categorize different groups of people. So, True Crime High is going to be our serial killer high school. It might be a recurring bit, it might be a one off bit, but what Henry and I are going to do today is we're going to take a serial killer each, tell you about them, and then say who they'd be in our stereotypical high school.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm actually really excited. I've always been a little hesitant and against this bit because I thought it was kind of stupid when I first heard it, but it's kind of grown on me. And now that I've done some research and sort of gotten into it, I realized that Yash, he's got it right, because look at the podcast market for all this true crime stuff. I listen to a couple. There's so many more, and they're all the same. It's just two people talking into a microphone about the facts, and maybe they're laughing, maybe they're not. I'm tired of it. It's all been done before,
Who
but
needs
we're gonna do
facts?
something different. Who needs facts when we've got a little bit of humor, a little bit of situational comedy? We're gonna get into it. And I think this is, as he said, a truly original idea. So, how should we jump into it?
I guess we could start with your serial killer first.
Okay.
We can first just say like a little bit of an argument format. You can say like who they are, and then
Okay.
say what you
I
think they'd
think
be in your
I'm
high
gonna
school.
set up. Should I say who I think they'd be in high school first, after their
Yeah,
name, and or should I Okay, and then I'll
cause
justify it. Yeah.
yeah, cause like if they have like their listeners haven't heard of who you're talking about, they can kind of
Okay.
like get some thinking a little. What could they have
Let
done?
me set. Okay, I'll set the scene. All right. It's 1982, just outside of Seatac, Washington, and a body has turned up in the Green River. And thus starts the saga for the next 16-ish years of the Green River killings. Bum, 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 bum. Pa, pa, pa. Yeah, today we're talking about the Green River Killer, Gary Leon Ridgway, born 1949. Okay, now Mr. Ridgway, the killer of the Green River, has in American serial killing history the highest convicted kill count at 49 convicted murders, but he confessed to 71. And because of this high body count, commitment to the sport, Gary Leon Ridgway has earned the title of True Crime High's Jock.
What sport? Football? This is
Football,
a
of course.
It is a
He,
stereotypical high
he's
school.
all American. He's all American, right?
Varsity.
Varsity.
Wow.
Oh, he's the captain, right? He's best in class, okay?
Best in class. Some might say you
So,
were best in
now,
class. What's your kill
well,
count, Henry?
kill count?
Kill count.
Can't disclose that on the internet.
Ah, wouldn't want to
No, I
incriminate.
can't. It's zero. It's zero. Zero
Confirmed.
people.
Oh, oh.
Zero people.
It's slightly
Moving on.
ominous.
Um, so yeah, the Green River is a river in Washington where Gary, call him Gare Bear. What should we call him?
Gare Bear? I like Gare Bear.
What kind of Gare Bear? So Gare Bear, that's where he put most of his bodies, right? Or a lot of them. He would just dump them in the river, on the banks, in woods around the area, and he was pretty good about it. He never left any DNA evidence, right? Oh, he did, but they didn't find it till later because they didn't have DNA till 2001. But he would knowingly plant uh, evidence on the crime scenes that would point away from him. So Gary Gerber, he didn't smoke and he didn't chew gum, but he would leave uh, burnt cigarettes and chewed gum at the scene of the crime as a sort of misdirection. And that's the sort of deke and the
Oh
kind
wait,
of
Henry,
defense
you kind of cut out a
that
little
we
there.
need. Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, the audio should be good on my
Yikes.
end.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
True. True. Uh.
So, no problem.
Okay. Okay. No worries. No worries.
Um, Carry on. Well, technical. We'll get that in post. We'll get that in post.
We'll get it in post.
So, it's this sort of commitment to the game, and the sport that Gary Leon Ridgway was exemplifying here that makes him the jock, because he's best in class. He's the guy. He's the one you can rely on to get that touchdown, that slam dunk. Other sport terminology. A goal? Is there like a fun way to say a goal in soccer?
I don't
Bar
think
down?
soccer is
That's
fun.
hockey.
Period.
Soccer is just for Europeans, right?
Or football.
No, that's all American.
Ah, true.
So now,
you don't like
we
other
mentioned
people
MOs earlier. Yeah. What?
What?
No. Yeah. So basically, let's talk about Gary's MO. And so what he would do is he'd pick up prostitutes and young drifters, as they were, and then strangle them. And
Like
then
Scranton City
Gary,
Strangler.
the Scranton Strangler. In
Yeah.
a way, I don't think did the Scranton Strangler kill anyone, or did he just kind of
I
strangle
actually
him?
haven't seen The Office, so.
Oh, okay. So just gonna talk out your ass right now. Is that what's going on here?
Oh, well, I've seen like Office highlights, and I've heard the Scranton Strangler.
Ridiculous.
Oh.
And now what makes Gary great, from a terrible, awful perspective, and awful from a normal perspective, was that he would return to the grave sites to have sex with the bodies. Just like another All-American classic, Mr. Theodore Bundy. Big into the necrophilia there. Now, any questions so far? Or comments about Mr. Ridgway?
Now, I found it pretty interesting how he'd just like burn out some cigarettes and leave some gum and stuff that you were saying.
Yeah. So
you said he's killed 49 people? Confirmed.
Yeah, he was convicted of 49.
Convicted of 49.
Over about, from 1982 to at least 2001, but probably within that time period. Yeah, but he confessed up to 71, and then some researchers believe, it might have been even more.
So
day by day, these stats keep going up. That's the kind of pumping those numbers up.
So 49 confirmed killings over 16 years, and this only happened in Green River.
Around the area. Yeah, so he was based out of Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Washington State? Yeah, it's a big state, right?
Yeah.
As most states are out in the West. But yeah, he would sort of move around. He was pretty good about where he would take the bodies and source the people from. So Tacoma, around Seattle, a place called Seatech. He was pretty creative. Again, exemplifying his knowledge of the game, right?
So are you saying that even though he's a jock, he might not only be there on he might not only be getting a sports scholarship, he's pretty intellectual?
Oh, no, not at all.
Not at all.
Gary Ridgway was dumber than a box of rocks.
Oh, okay. So he's
now,
dumb jock all the way through.
Oh, yeah, he's the stereotypical dumb jock, but he's good at what he does.
So kind of like a Chad.
Kind of like the Chad, but as a dumb jock is good at football, Gary Ridgway was good at killing.
Mm-hmm.
It said his IQ was recorded as the low 80s.
Oh,
So, for example, the average IQ is 100.
what's your IQ, Henry?
And mine? Oh, I think it's like a 14.
Yours.
Um,
14.
last time I checked, I
Oh,
took a
you
test
beat me.
online. Yeah, 14.
No.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so
I mean, lower
I
the number, the
think
better,
that
right?
the lower, yeah, because it's like the logarithmic
Percentiles.
scale, right? It's percentiles. Yeah, I'm in the first percentile. Yeah. So yeah, basically like a low 80. That's two standard deviations down, which is like pretty a pretty big jump. That's like less than like I think it's like 5% of the population is in that area, right? So he's in like the lowest 5% of intellect,
No, that's
and
impressive.
below that. That's impressive, and he still managed to do this. He had the longest uninterrupted run in American history. I think pretty much no one else went as long as this guy did. He got in there and he was intelligent. He didn't overstretch himself. Took his time. Was calculated, meticulous, right? And that's what you want to see from your star player, right?
So you want to see
So
consistency.
if this guy's at true crime highs, he's the opening guy, right? But he knows, when to put his eggs in the basket. If they're up, 15 points at halftime, he's not going to work as hard because he knows that you got that game in the bag, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's
He's
the
in it
kind
for the
of,
sport.
he's in it for the sport, right?
The
He
art
really
of it.
cares about the sport. He was
Now here's the
quoted as
thing:
saying that killing was his career.
killing is his career.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say he
And you
did a
just
good
don't
job.
get that kind of dedication anymore.
You don't get that these
Good.
days.
Thankfully.
Well, yes, thankfully. I was still thinking
Thankfully.
from the
We're
football
like this is.
perspective.
Oh yes. No. Yeah. What were you about to say?
Well, I was gonna say, like we've said that he's consistent. He's very consistent in the way he kills. He did it for over
Mm-hmm.
16 years. Um, Now my question is, what happened to make him get caught? Because we're thinking about this as in like a stereotypical like 80s like high school coming of age story. Something always happens to like the dumb jock. Something happens to him.
Now I've got the perfect analogy. So imagine the jock throughout his whole high school. Maybe he graduates to true crime uni, right? Goes out of state, studies at a big state school, but
Mm-hmm.
he's been doping this whole time,
He's
right?
been doping.
Let's just say he's been doping our hypothetical football star, but they didn't have the technology to test if he was doping, so he just got away with it. But then one day, they always thought he did, but they never caught him in the act, right? So they couldn't
Uh-huh.
prove anything. But one day, they get the test. They get a test that works and can prove that someone has been doping, and that's exactly what happened to Mr. Ridgway, Mr. Green River, Mr. Killer. DNA tests became prevalent. They compared it, and it was a match.
So what you're
So I
saying is he
believe
was
that,
born in the wrong generation.
yeah, pretty much. I believe that if these DNA tests were delayed another 10 years, he would have kept going, and he would have probably not been caught.
Hmm.
He went 16 years with no problem. So what's another 16?
His career was ruined.
Yeah, it was, honestly.
Now
Don't place your bets on this guy. He was a sure bet. But, things change. Things happen, right?
things do
You gotta
happen.
switch it up sometimes. So let's talk about, his family life, Noah. Because to his family members, at least his son, he was a pretty normal guy, right? He held a steady job at a truck shop, just painting the trucks and cars for, I think, over 20 years. He was consistent, never late. He was nice. He was punctual. Because that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of dedication you want to the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I mean that seems like that's someone I'd hire. Nice,
Yeah.
consistent,
A
good at just
consistent worker,
working.
Absolutely. So he had
Like
three.
that's impressive.
Now, Mr. Ridgway actually went to Vietnam because being
He went
born
to
in
Vietnam.
1949, yeah, he saw combat there. He got gonorrhea there. Um,
Oh,
Lots of fun things. Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
he pined while he was in Vietnam.
Yeah, he probably had sex with a lot of prostitutes,
Ah,
which gave him the gonorrhea and maybe a little bit of disdain towards those uh, wonderful women.
wonderful woman.
Yeah. So
Wait, so
now,
he started killing after Vietnam.
well, that we know of, I can't. We don't know if he killed uh, in Vietnam. It's possible, but I don't think there's any major evidence to tie him towards that. So
Okay.
we'll have to go off what we know, right?
Because it seems to me like you're saying that him getting gonorrhea is the reason why he snapped.
No, no. His mother and father were pretty awful.
Oh,
Um, he would often pee the bed, which is a pretty much a major sign that a person will. It's one of the key signs, as some criminologists might tell you, that that person will become a serial killer. Typically mutilating small animals. Check. uh, Peeing the bed. Check. And had trauma as a child. Check.
oh.
That person will, not that they'll necessarily become a serial killer, but those three characteristics are often exhibited by most serial killers. So maybe it's not a causal thing, but it's certainly prevalent and occurs more than a fluke would tell you.
So let's just say this. Although obviously he's the dumb jock, he's a little bit of the star in high school in our high school scenario. Since he peed the bed a lot, we can try and say that like maybe he was at a party, had too much to drink, pissed his pants.
Absolutely. We've all
I,
been
I
there.
think. Well, I'm not sure about that one. I don't think
You
I've
haven't been
pissed my
there?
pants.
You've never pissed your pants?
No,
Okay,
I
well,
feel like it's hard to piss your pants.
I think you could. No. Well, maybe. Is it?
I mean, do you want to try right now?
Yeah, all right, ready? um, and I've
um,
got here. I'll let you get into. I'm gonna wrap up my part pretty soon. I'll let you get into the wonderful man you have planned
yeah.
for True Crime High. So
Just one. I was gonna say
yeah,
originally we were gonna phone a friend, but I'm not quite sure if everyone we'd call would know Gary Ridgway that well.
yeah, it's a tough one. Maybe we'll
I mean, you could do
maybe
the
we can
same. You describe him
we can get it
briefly.
in the next episode. We'll call him
Get in the
up,
next
get
episode.
him to watch the episode for next week. Call him first thing.
First thing.
First thing. Say hey. Checking in last week. It's all about continuity, right? That's what people want.
I know
You know,
for
it's
whoever
sort of
I've chosen, he's iconic enough that anyone I call would know. Anyone would know.
absolutely
But I'll let you
anyone. I
finish up.
know. Okay,
You do
so
know. Idolize
now we
even.
know that between the jocks in high school, there's always a little bit of friendly competition, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
everyone
Yeah.
wants to be the star player, best on the team. They're all going to work hard, right, to get there. What happens, if you're put on the bench by the coach, right? What are you going to do? How are you going to be the best player on the bench, right? You got to sabotage the guy on the field. And so, a True Crime High, one of our bench warmers, who, used to be a star player, but maybe he slipped up, tore something,
ACL.
you know, maybe an ACL tear. Let's call it that. He wanted to get Ridgway off the field. And of course, I'm talking our bench warmer, Theodore Bundy.
Theodore Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Uh, so Mr. Ridgway was such a star player and a prolific serial killer that Ted Bundy's ego just couldn't take it. On the bench, he's looking out and he's saying, I can't let this guy beat me, right? I can't let this guy get those numbers past mine, because I can't play right now. I'm sitting here on the bench, torn ACL, shattered rib cage, my foot's broken, right?
Maybe a little bit of arm damage, hairline
I gotta
fracture.
stop this guy, right? Yeah, his brain's oozing out his ears. I gotta stop this guy. And so Ted Bundy actually helped the feds make a profile on Ridgway and try and figure out how to catch him. And Ted Bundy's advice, from one star player, one necrophiliac to another, he said, find a fresh body site, stake it out, and Ridgway will come to you.
So what you're saying is, 1, Ted Bundy, benchwarmer, is a snitch, and 2,
absolutely,
he provided evidence that our good friend Ridgway was doping to win the championship.
Pretty much.
Is that what you're telling me right now? What an asshole!
He cost his team the game. Because he couldn't stand to see someone else in the hot seat, right? It's basically what we're looking at, right? Me. Yeah. So, and then, but, Ridgway, I'll give you a little example here. Ridgway was someone once saw a woman who was later found dead get into Ridgway's truck one night. And when the police, the Green River Task Force, which was, designed and created to find the Green River Killer, one of their major suspects was Ridgway, right? You might even call these the campus recruiters, right? Recruiters. Maybe. Just trying to go with the analogy, But, they go to Ridgway's house and they say, Mr. Ridgway,
hello?
Have you seen this woman? You know what he said? No. And that was it. Stone cold.
Stone cold. Alpha as fuck.
Stone cold. Yeah. But, DNA, until they got him. They caught him doping, put him away. And, topically, actually.
Made him piss in a jar.
He's still in prison, right? He's still alive.
He's still alive?
Yeah, he's getting old. He's still alive. He's probably 81-ish right now.
I mean, he's not getting released, though.
Oh, no. He's serving 49 consecutive life sentences. So, no. But,
I'm looking at a photo of this
he asked for it. Because based on the coronavirus stuff going on right now, they're trying to let out some certain offenders. And he was like, hey, let me out. And they said, haha, no. Which, the coach wouldn't let him out,
Coach wouldn't let him off the bench anymore.
Yep. No. Bundy's dead, but, he's a bench warmer. And now Ridgway's a bench warmer too. And thus ends the Stone Cold Jock saga of Gary Ridgway.
His fall from grace. He went from top of the cast all the way to the bottom.
But, he's kind of held that title, though. He still is, in terms of numbers, likely America's #1 serial killer.
Behind you, of course.
Well, I'm not American.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Yeah.
We're by the border. You should probably remove that in post a little.
It's fair use.
Gary Ridgway, that was enlightening.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Well,
hell of a guy.
Continuing on this high school analogy, my serial killer, very cool guy. You've probably heard of him. He is the person who's inspired Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and some other movie that I don't know. Remember off the top of my head. But we're talking about Good old Edward Theodore Gein. We got another Theodore out here.
Mr. Geen. His middle name's Theodore?
Yeah, it's Theodore. I didn't know
Oh.
that before. Yeah.
Like the chipmunk.
The Eddie, the Mad Butcher, the Plainfield Ghoul,
Eddie?
the Plainfield Butcher,
Oh, yeah.
the Butcher of Plainfield.
Now, did you do any reading about Plainfield?
Well, I did some. Actually, before we go in, I'll just say what Ed Gein is. Ed Gein
Yeah.
in our stereotypical high school, he's a shop teacher. Wood shop teacher,
Mm.
helps make some nice furniture,
Yeah.
making some good stuff for home. Very creative guy.
Very good with his hands.
Bit shy, but
Bit shy, you know.
he gets around. He talks. He has acquaintances and friends.
He's friends with high schoolers.
Yeah, they're fairly young though. Not many friends his
Yeah.
age, but he's seen as a nice
No,
guy.
not many friends in general, though.
Well, yeah, more like acquaintances.
Not too good with the ladies, am I right?
No, and we'll get into why.
No. But who is, right?
Eat shouldn't die, cuffed people.
Hey. Trying to get us
Oh.
demonetized?
No, true. Factual.
Don't worry, we're not monetized to begin with, so.
But going back to your question about if I've read about Plainfield, the way that I've read about Plainfield and seen it described in text and from some other sources that I researched from, it's kind of described as like that stereotypical like country town. There's nothing remarkable about it. Nothing
Now,
to put it on the map.
Gein's from he's in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Oh, Wisconsin.
But the thing about
So,
like him in being from Plainfield, I think it's like important to note that Ed Gein didn't actually live inside Plainfield. He lived on a farm that was like quite far outside of town.
Yeah, on top of the hill, right? The farmhouse.
Yeah. So he wasn't really in Plainfield per se. But if we're gonna go from this high school analogy, the way that I'm gonna describe it is, the high school's pretty small, but there's one thing it's excelled in, and that's in winning some competitions. So a lot of the our Edward Gein, our shop teacher, he's very accredited. He's won many awards for his magnificent work in woodshop, and he's really been there putting the high school like in the news, putting it on the map.
For sure.
Because like I said,
Yeah.
Plainfield, no one's heard of it.
Small
Wisconsin, I don't even know where Wisconsin is, let alone
Listen,
Plainfield.
You point a gun to my head, say, point out Wisconsin on this map. Kaboom! Like, it's over.
I'd probably point out Ohio, Connecticut. That's
Connecticut and Ohio are
I
nowhere
meant to say
near each other.
Kentucky. I meant to say Kentucky.
I think Wisconsin's like it's near
Florida.
Illinois. No, it's near Illinois and
Yeah.
like Dakota and Minnesota and all those other places where like 15 people live. Apologies to our viewers, of course, from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and all those places where 15 people live.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Unlike Gary Ridgway, who you said he has 39 confirmed kills?
49 convicted.
49. 49 convicted, up to 71 confessed. And here's the thing. Ed Gein is only known to have killed 2 people. But it's not the killings that really put him out there. Just like Gary Ridgway said was intelligent for like the way he carried out his crimes. Ed Gein, he's known for doing something else with the bodies. And as it might have been alluded to by him being the shop teacher, what Ed Gein would do is he'd take the bodies and he'd make furniture out of them. Little accessories.
Oh. Furniture.
Now,
more than furniture too, right?
and we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
Ed Gein, um, I think it was I can't remember exactly. I think it was on the radio and TV at the time. There's a lot of true crime. True crime was in the newspapers and in text media. And our little
Yeah.
Edward Gein, he was very
Well,
enamored
give us a
and
timeline, would you?
interested by all these. I think that well, he was like very interested throughout his entire life. Um, but it's known that
Okay.
like in his adulthood, he'd often talk about all the true crime like texts he'd read. He'd read very prolifically on shrunken heads and a lot of voodoo rituals.
Okay. Some voodoo stuff.
And
Would
it's
you have any
known
like
that
timeline relating to when Garage or sorry, when Mr. Gein was born
when he was
or
born,
died or
well,
yeah.
Edward Gein was born in 1906 from the womb of his mother Augusta Gein, and
Oh, Augusta.
he died in 1984. Uh,
Oh.
he was apprehended in 1957, however, for his two crimes. It's confirmed he killed two, but some believe he killed up to 9.
Up to 9, really?
Though
Wow.
experts say that it was 2, and there's even
2.
some speculation about. There's a lot of speculation which I'll get into, but the entire thing about Edward Gein was that it didn't quite seem like he was trying to hide what he was doing.
No, how's
Now,
that?
like I said, Ed Gein, he'd read a lot about true crime and all these weird things some people would do to bodies, and at like we said, he's pretty shy. Ed Gein, the shop teacher, is a shy guy, but everyone thinks of him as harmless. He's a bit weird, a bit eccentric, but everyone in town knows him. He's the local handyman. You need a door made, you go ask Ed Gein. That sort of stuff, right?
Ask Ed
And
Gein. Yeah.
he didn't have many friends, but he had a lot of acquaintances. And when he
Well,
talked to
back
people,
in
all
that
he'd
day,
talk about
word of mouth, that's number one. That's paramount, right?
that's
There was
paramount.
no Instagrams, there's no Facebooks. It's good old, word of mouth. And you hear about Ed Gein making doors for good old Johnny down the road, and you're thinking, I think I need a door. Who can I call but good old Ed Gein?
Yeah, and some people would even ask him. He was just a handyman. Some people would ask him like babysit their children. Even he was seen as a harmless, little weird guy. Weird because whenever he had the chance, all he'd talk about with people was all this true crime stuff he'd read, and he'd often talk about these shrunken heads he had. And some people wouldn't believe him. And like, funnily enough, a friend of his that he went hunting with actually went to Gein's house to see the shrunken head
Mm-hmm.
and actually saw it. But what they didn't know at the time was that Ed Gein had more than shrunken heads.
Oh.
So let me set the stage. I'll first begin by talking about his childhood, and then going into the death of his family, and then his killings. So Ed Gein, he was a weird kid. He was one of like 2 sons of George and Augusta Gein. And Augusta, that's a powerful name, a very powerful name. I know when we were planning this
Powerful name
podcast out,
for a powerful woman, I'm sure.
Augusta Wilhelmine Gein. And let's just say his childhood was not one filled with love. George was an alcoholic, couldn't keep a job, and he was not a great father. But Augusta, this powerful, independent woman, she was, you could say, the breadwinner of the family. She owned and ran a local grocery store in a nearby town before they moved. I'm not sure if it was in Plainfield, but it was in town.
I think,
And
yeah, they moved around a few times because I know Augusta was a very conservative woman
oh
and
yeah, she was
didn't like
fervent.
the
She
sin
was
of the world.
very religious. She didn't like hussies and like women in the streets like tempting
Mm,
her
tempting
sons.
a little Eddie.
She
Of course
she
not.
hated men. She hated men. And
Mm.
since she was so religious, she had her sons. She closed down the grocery store, and she moved the entire family into a large farm outside of Plainfield in complete isolation. And because of
Yeah.
this, Ed and his brother they'd only leave the farm to attend school. That's the thing.
Mm.
His mom didn't want any of these women getting their hands on him. She'd be preaching
I
the
mean, who can
Bible.
resist an 8-year-old child?
Who can resist a weird
How,
8-year-old
how could you
child?
resist?
And
That's not a good soundbite.
that's
Who can
no,
resist an 8-year-old child?
Henry. I
Not good.
worry for
Not
you. I
good.
worry. That's not good.
Don't worry. No one's gonna clip this. No one's
I
gonna clip
mean,
that.
one of our two
Ooh.
viewers might,
No. What are they gonna do with it?
but that's how we'll describe Edgin's child. It was very lonely and sad. He was shy, strange, and well, didn't really talk to anyone apart from his mom, who just almost exclusively just read the Bible to them and tell them about everything wrong in the world.
That's like kind of fun though. Some little light bedtime reading about
Yeah, like bedtime reading.
the 7 plagues.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun stuff.
Yeah. So now here's what we'll say. So in 1940, Ed's father ended up dying of heart failure because of his alcoholism, and it seems that like death sort of ran in Ed's family. Like when Ed's father George was young, his entire family also died.
Really?
Yeah, his father's entire family died, and his father's the only one left. So,
Was it in a fire, right?
uh,
Or do I have that wrong?
I think it was a landslide or like a flash flood. It was a flash
Something.
flood.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, his father's family, they all died in a flash flood. And the deaths never really stopped there because shortly after his father died in 1940, Ed's brother Henry was
Great
killed.
name.
Henry, yeah, from one Henry to another. Let's hope you don't
Yeah.
die due to an out of control fire.
Oh, a
So
fire.
on May 6th, 1944, Henry and Ed were they're burning away some like vegetation on their property. They're trying to clear it out a little, right? So they
Mm.
can use that land for farming. And the fire got out of hand. And eventually Ed couldn't find his brother. So like what they did was he went to the police and filed a missing person report, and then they got a search party to go and
Yeah.
look for his brother, and eventually they end up finding him. Now, I know you have a theory about his brother's accidental death.
Well, what I've heard from a few other sources is that after he got the search party, the police reported as saying that Ed basically led them directly to his brother's body, and said, "Oh, there he is," as
And
Wisconsinites say. They go, "Oh, oh,
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 there he
oh,
is.
oh, there he is."
Yeah, and
So
it was also
it's a little fishy, if you ask me. A man where death runs in a family, but perhaps killers do too.
yeah, but
You know what
like
I'm saying? You know what
eventually
I'm saying?
police didn't really say that. They officially said there was no foul play, right?
Well, maybe.
But here's the thing:
Right.
now that Geen and his mother were alone, um, some might say the reason why some people say Geen might have killed his brother was because his brother Henry really wasn't as receptive of their mother. But
No?
regardless of what Henry's mother thought of him, Augusta had a horrible stroke shortly after his death, and Geen would had to
Mm,
take care of her full time, right? So shortly after, though, after the stroke and Geen taking care of her full time, she died in 1945. And
Okay. So Ed,
this
in
is
a span of 5 years, has lost his father, his brother,
his brother.
and then his mother.
Most importantly, his mother. And it's quoted by saying that, the author of a book, about Geen's biography, Deviant, wrote that he lost his only friend and true love, and he was absolutely alone in the world.
Oh God. Now
Now,
I'm kind of feeling bad for Mister Geen right now.
yeah, now he's all alone on this farm. He's earning money from odd jobs, and what he does, he like boards up all the rooms used by his mother, right, leaving them untouched.
Really?
And the funny thing is, he'd leave his mother's room untouched, completely as it is. But throughout the after this period, the entire house would become more and more messy.
Okay. So he sort of turned her room into like some kind of museum or shrine in a way to
Yeah, I'd
preserve
say it's
sort of the memory of her. But not, I'm sure his brother's room and his father's room weren't afforded the same treatment.
no, they weren't. They weren't. Like
Hmm.
the writer of his biography said, he only really liked his mother. And now here's the thing: Edward Geen, um, the shop teacher. Here's the thing: the student population loves a little bit of gossip. Ed Gein, he lives with his mom. You know, he's
Oh,
what,
yeah.
like, he's 30, 40, and he's still living with his mom. Like, that's kind of sad. And
Gross.
some of the kids, they laugh at him for it. They make fun of him. But the thing is, they still feel bad. They feel bad. He's just out here
Yeah.
caring for his mother. You know, just good old nice Ed Gein. But here's the thing: like I looking at my notes right now, and it was around this time where he started to get into like all the stories I was telling you about with like cannibals and
Mm.
Nazi atrocities and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's around this time after his mother's death. So
Just
we
a
can
bit of
say that
light
this is
reading.
where, yeah, just a little bit of light reading about Nazi atrocities.
Sure.
And now we're going to fast forward about 12 years. And this is the
Oh,
time
so
where
we're jumping to 57?
1957.
Okay.
And just Ed Gein, he's all alone for 12 years. And
What's he been doing? What's he been up to?
he's just been working these odd jobs, hunting with some people.
Sure.
He worked for the road crew, but he wasn't really doing
Okay.
much. He
No.
wasn't doing much. But in 1957, the owner of a hardware store in Plainfield, Bernice Warden, disappears. And people, like, originally people thought that, like, she was gone because deer hunting season. But
Right. On
after
that date, right?
yeah, like, it's like, oh yeah, she's gone to go hunt for some deer. It looked like the car was gone. It was driven out at
Sure.
9:30 a.m. So people don't really think much of
Not
it
too
until,
uncommon in Wisconsin.
yeah, not too uncommon in Wisconsin. But then Bernice Warden's son comes into the store and finds the cash register open and blood on the floor. And here's the thing: so they look through the evidence. They see that Ed Gein had been the last person in the store before his mother's disappearance. There's like a sales slip for some antifreeze that Ed Gein
Oh,
had to buy, and
just a bit of
then,
antifreeze.
yeah, just a little bit of antifreeze. And he was supposed to come back that morning, and because of the suspicion, right? Because he was the last person to see her alive. Then there's blood. They arrest Gein. Now,
Oh,
after they arrest Gein, they go and search his farm to look for, obviously, Warden, good old Bernice Warden. And what they find is Bernice Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Yeen's property. It's
oh,
hung upside down by her legs, a
oh.
crossbar at her ankle, and like ropes at her wrist, and her torso is dressed out like a deer. and she was shot by a 22
Oh,
caliber. And here's the thing: it doesn't end there because they found a lot of stuff here. Okay, found a lot of stuff. They find whole human bones and fragments, a waste basket made of human skin. Interesting craftsmanship. They find human skin covering several chair seats. Some good old home upholstery. Skulls on his bedposts. Female skulls with like the tops taken off. Bowls from skulls. And here's where it gets. You think this is bad enough, but it gets worse. Now he has a corset made from a female torso. He made leggings, some masks, and he has cut out vaginas, a belt made of female nipples,
he's a
noses,
nipple
a
belt?
lampshade with a human face,
No, no,
and just
no,
other
no. Go back,
body
go back.
parts.
Oh, wait,
What?
no. He's got a what belt?
A nipple belt.
He has a nipple belt?
Yeah. So
How many nipples are on a belt?
I I'm not sure because
Is
they
there?
don't have photos of this for obvious reasons,
Well,
but
that's not obvious to me.
they
I
they
kind
have
of
a
want to
nipple
see the
belt.
nipple. Well, I want to.
Um,
I'm intrigued. Like, was it just nipples attached to a regular belt? Is it only made of nipple? Like, I've got a lot of questions.
from what I understand, it was like nipples attached to the belt.
Hmm.
That's what I understand. And here's the thing. We're not going to go too much into like what happened after his arrest because we're trying to make this high school analogy, right?
Yeah, we
And
don't care about his time in the institution. It's not exciting, you know.
yeah, you can find some true crime podcasts for that. We're talking about him as a shop teacher. And here's the thing: Ed Gein was trying to make a woman suit. That's why he had all these bodies.
Right.
So it's known that he killed two women, Mary Hogan and Bernice Warden, both of whom notably resembled his mother. But the
Oh,
question was, where did
big,
he get all these other
big,
bodies?
strong.
A big, strong, powerful woman. And it's to Ed Gein later confessed that he would steal from cemeteries, local cemeteries. He only admitted to stealing from 9 graves, and he'd take
Only
the
nine.
body parts of these women, most of whom, because Plainfield's not a big town, he
Wasn't there
pretty
more
much
than
know
nine?
everyone. Well,
Wasn't
he
there
only
more than
admitted to
nine?
stealing from 9.
Well, you know, do the math, Eddie. You know, you got more than 9 body parts in your house. You know,
I
and I
mean,
think about a nipple belt. How many belts are on that? You know, are there 18 only? You know, 20?
it,
Come on, 22? It's not adding
maybe.
up to me, Mister Geen.
But here's
I did
here's what
I
I'd
did the
say.
math, Mister Geen.
I'd say he's more resourceful. He does well with what he's got. That's what I'm gonna say. As a shop teacher,
Yeah,
here's the thing. One thing he teaches the students is to never be wasteful. Try and use
right. You don't want
everything you have. Here's the thing. He didn't need to make a nipple belt. He didn't need
to.
to.
No.
But he
Okay.
saw he had nipples and he made a
Okay.
belt out of it. He took
Right.
out
Because like,
Bernice Warden's heart. Because, I mean, what else are you're going to leave the heart behind?
what are you
You
gonna do
know?
with it? Leave it?
Yeah. And, like, some of this is very interesting. Like, he had, like, a window shade, and on the drawstring, he put a pair of nipples. Or lips. Not nipples. Lips.
Pair of lips. Did he
To,
kiss
like,
him?
grip by. No. Here's the thing.
Think
Ed
he gave him a
Gein,
little smooch?
I don't want to say that Ed Gein is an incel,
Okay.
but he didn't get any sexual gratification. Like, he never had sex with the bodies or did anything sexual. Even though
Do you
he
think
had,
he's ever had sex?
I would say he hasn't. I'd say
No.
Ed Gein, this old shop teacher, doesn't have sex.
No.
No.
But that's just because it's not what brings him joy. You know,
Hmm.
woodworking and craftsmanship, that's his passion, and that's what he wants to do, right?
It's his passion. And here's the
That's
thing.
what I mean. That's what gets him up in the morning. That's the last thing he's thinking about before he goes to bed. on his
with his
bone bed.
bone bed.
That's what he's about, you know.
Yeah,
A
with his
bed he
human
built
face.
himself. He's got leather blankets made of people, you know.
Here's the thing,
That's just
like his mom,
that's the
he's
kind
a
of thing we're
self-made
talking
man.
about.
He's
Self-made man. I
independent.
couldn't have, you
That's
know.
the thing.
He's got a steady
Like
job.
the students,
He's
they might make fun of
helping
him.
the youth.
He's helping
Yeah.
the youth. Like they might make fun of him, but like the one thing that everyone in True Crime High can't deny, good rhyming, is that you know what? He might be weird. He might be into some weird shit. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, he gets the job done.
Gets the job
He
done.
does the odd works here and there. He's a nice guy. That's the thing. Ed Gein, everyone just knew him as that nice weird guy. He was known for being very cooperative in his interviews.
Stand-up guy.
Stand up guy. Like that's the thing. Like he'd make a great shop teacher. That's all I'm saying. True Crime High, if you need anyone to like make you a table, why would you go ask some guy named, you wouldn't go ask Gary Ridgway to make you a table, right? You wouldn't
No,
ask
he could maybe paint your car.
yeah, you can paint your car, but like Ed Gein, if you need someone done, you need someone made, you go to him. I don't think there's a lot of explaining you need to do because I think it speaks for itself.
You know, I think you've really summed up. I mean, obviously we could talk about Ridgway and Gein all day, but you know, in our little True Crime High, you know, we got the
Mhm.
jock, we got the shop teacher. You know, maybe they might have had a friendship, some
Yeah,
kind of
like
student teacher bond.
they could have gone hunting.
And they could
Ed
have
Gein
gone
went
hunting.
hunting with kids.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
I would have
he's a
loved to
father
go
figure.
hunting with Ed Gein.
Yeah, he could show you his
Absolutely.
shrunken heads after.
I'd love to see his shrunken heads.
So, yeah, like that's the thing. True
Oh,
Crime High is a place for everyone.
yeah. Absolutely.
You just got to
Wow.
make the cut.
We just gotta make the cut, you know? So I'm sure we'll revisit this bit eventually, you know, talk about some other, maybe some more well known, maybe some niche characters.
Niche, you
But,
know.
you know, I think eventually we'll come back, we'll visit the halls again. What would the colors be for True Crime High?
Now, I'm thinking that we get a little bit of red in there.
Well,
I
gotta have
know,
the red.
I know. Maybe a little bit of red, some gray. Kind of like
Gray.
some
Okay.
red, gray, white.
Red, gray, white. Okay, I kind of like that.
You know, we can get a logo going, a mascot.
A logo. Maybe some Latin, you know, little motto, maybe.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we're onto something here. I think we're onto something.
I think we've hit the jackpot. This will be our big break, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is it.
But yeah, it's a bit
I
of
think
a
we can
long
retire
one.
early now. Well,
I
we're
think we
like at
can
our usual time, an hour
an hour.
ish.
You know, like you said, if we had time, like I skipped over so much about Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Man is interesting. I was gonna say something, I realized I
Man,
shouldn't call Ed Gein that.
mans be wildin',
Mans be wildin'.
as some Toronto folk might say.
But yeah, now that we're reaching the end of our podcast, we'd just like to thank our 3 listeners for
Our three
listening.
listeners. Maybe this week we'll have 4. For now we're on
Maybe 4.
Spotify, you know. It's the options are unlimited, right? You know.
Ariana Grande might be listening right now.
Ariana Grande is listening right now.
Their white
Hey,
toes.
Ariana, listen. Show me your toes.
Oh God.
Go to me.
But,
Send me a pic. All right.
but yeah, share this with your friends, and
Share this
we'll
with
see
your
you
enemies.
hopefully not in 3
Whatever.
weeks.
Hopefully next week.
Hopefully
All right,
next
take
week.
care, everyone. Goodbye.